This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
In 1979, America was number one in the world in math education and achievement among students.
Sheets of plywood were shooting across the parking lot.
I feel that urgency and that burden to tell their stories until hopefully someday they will be able to tell them themselves.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. At any moment, we're expecting President Trump to sign an executive order beginning the process of dismantling the U.S. Department of Education. It's got many in a tizzy, saying no one will manage the incoming cash to schools.
I don't know what public schools are going to do whenever we have all the money going to the public schools, but it's going towards football programs or it's going towards things that are not ensuring equitable education.
Moms for Liberty co-founder Tiffany Justice sat in on a roundtable hearing in Washington, D.C., filled with governors from across the United States.
Well, I think one of the things that they said was give us the money in block grants so we can use it in the state to be able to meet the needs of our students.
The most recent report shows 40% of fourth grade public school children are below proficiency for reading and math. Michael Gear with the Pennsylvania Family Institute.
In 1979, America was number one in the world in math education and achievement among students. And that was around the time the Department of Education got underway. And now we're way down on that list. And so the department has not improved things, that's for sure.
Tiffany Justice says the issue has little to do with teachers and everything to do with policy and curriculum.
We've seen, on top of academic failure, this toxic soup of SEL and DEI and CRT. The president's taken executive action on those issues. And the governor said, give us more power in the states to be able to meet the needs of our communities, and let's help parents to put them in the driver's seat.
Any dismantling of the Department of Ed will have to be approved by Congress. Mass protests in Tel Aviv, Israel today. This after Israel pounded the Gaza Strip with airstrikes. Those strikes occurring after Houthi rebels in Yemen launched another missile directly at Israel. It was shot down. The U.S. is deploying 2 Navy ships to the Gulf to assist in the crackdown on illegal immigration. CBS reporter Charlie D'Agata.
It includes the USS Gravely that is already steaming toward the region, not in position yet, and then another unnamed U.S. destroyer that will be headed from the West Coast. You know, the Coast Guard is normally responsible for policing around that area. Destroyers aren't always just about firing cruise missiles. It's also a deterrent.
Signs of progress today toward a possible end to the years-long war between Russia and Ukraine. NBC's Richard Engel has the latest from Kyiv.
And now it seems that there is some progress to reaching a limited ceasefire that could protect critical infrastructure, both here in Ukraine and in Russia.
In the past 48 hours, President Trump has spoken by phone with both Russian ruler Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian head of state Volodymyr Zelensky. Call it telephone diplomacy. The Midwest took a direct hit from some tornadoes. Last night, a school lost its roof in Gary, Indiana. This man runs a roller rink outside Indianapolis. He watched parts of his building fly away.
We're just standing in the office in there watching, and the next thing you know, sheets of plywood were shooting across the parking lot. So we just got on the microphone, told everybody we needed them to head to the bathroom.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is reacting with disgust to a D.C. judge who's banned President Trump from deporting to El Salvador any more illegal immigrants with ties to gangs.
You have one unelected federal judge trying to control foreign policies, trying to control the Alien Enemies Act, which they have no business presiding over. There are 261 reasons why Americans are safer now. That's because those people are out of this country.
And get those brackets ready. The NCAA men's college basketball tournament shifts into high gear today with 16 games on the docket. Sports analyst Kaylee Hardung has all you need to know about the March Madness.
It is the most wonderful time of the year for college hoops fans and for some who haven't watched a college basketball game all season. But here comes the drama with euphoric highs and devastating lows. How soon is your bracket going to get busted? Who will be this year's Cinderella darlings? Can UConn make history with a three-peat? We've got more questions than answers, but that's what makes March Madness live up to its name.
Sure does. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, twin lawsuits against Governor Hochul over that prison strike. Pennsylvania eyeing your need for speed. And what does it feel like to go through a meningitis outbreak drill? They did it in Elmira. We'll take you there after weather with Kevin Williams.
The call for tonight, cloudy skies, a couple of scattered leftover showers and sprinkles. Then a few snowflakes late tonight. Could be a little gusting in spots late tonight as the temperature dips into the 20s and low 30s. Much chillier day ahead tomorrow. Some early cloud cover and a few flakes east of I-81, but it'll turn out to be a fairly sunny day, but high temperatures only in the 40s. On Saturday, rather cloudy, a bit of rain, a few wet flakes over the higher elevations of the western Twin Tiers. High temperatures on Saturday in the 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. It was 70 yesterday, and we got 46 for a high this Saturday. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Oneida County, New York is filing suit against Governor Hochul over her executive order that bans fired prison guards from working in law enforcement. Chemung County has filed a similar lawsuit. The guards were let go during the recent Wildcat prison guard strike.
They feel totally and completely abandoned by the leaders in the state. They feel totally abandoned by Kathy Hochul. They called for help because they were at the point of no return. They were going into a workplace where there's violence, they're getting attacked.
Erie County Republican legislator Lindsay Larigo.
This is a terrible policy from Kathy Hochul. It is just her doubling down on the mistreatment that she's had towards these officers. We should be working with them, not against them.
She says New York's prisons are understaffed as it is, and the state's response to the Wildcat strike will only make matters worse. Pennsylvania politicians are considering legislation that would expand the use of police radar to cut down on speeders in the Commonwealth.
Statistics show 50% of fatal car crashes involve speeding.
State Representative Jill Cooper. Pennsylvania is the only state in the nation that still bans local police from using radar. Only state police have access to that technology. The Pennsylvania State Education Association is warning about a data breach that happened last July. The PSEA saying personal information like names, date of birth, social security numbers, even routing numbers were captured. They're offering free credit monitoring. Pennsylvania lawmakers are considering some changes that could make some of life's essentials free from sales tax. Here's Family Life's Mark Webster.
Yeah, 4 state reps have drawn up a package of a half dozen bills that, if approved, would exempt some items seen as essential from state sales tax. They range from baby supplies such as cribs, strollers, car seats, and baby bottles to items for older kids such as books and school supplies, children's toys, and youth sports equipment, and also throws in pet food. The lawmakers say it's time to stop taxing items that are necessary to raise a family in the Commonwealth. The only currently tax-exempt items in PA include most non-prepared foods, items purchased with food stamps, prescription drugs, and most, though not all, wearing apparel. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
And it was only a drill. The Elmira College nursing program hosted a drill yesterday simulating a meningitis outbreak on campus. While no one was actually sick, nursing student Jamie Wagner tells WENY they learned some important lessons from it.
It not only gives you the communication, because you're talking to the community, you're talking to the public, but it also gives you different areas to think on.
Nursing faculty member Debbie Woglum.
Infectious diseases like meningitis and measles, which we're seeing in the news, are going to become more prevalent. So these kind of exercises are more important now than they ever have been.
That's what's happening in New York and Pennsylvania. Now we head to the nation of Syria. Let's listen in. This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, voice of the Martyrs Vice President, Todd Nettleton. We're talking Syria.
There is a new president of Syria. He formerly was part of Al-Qaeda, part of ISIS. In fact, 12 months ago, the U.S. government had a $10 million bounty on his head as a terrorist, and today he's the president of Syria. in his words since taking power, he has said all the right things. We want more democracy. We want more freedom in Syria. We want to have a place in Syria for all the people, no matter what religion they are. But what his troops inside Syria are telling the pastors is, just wait. Your day is coming. Wait till we get our feet on the ground. Wait till we get our government established, and then we'll take care of the Christians. So if you're a Christian in Syria right now, you're very concerned about what's happening. And even in the last 2 weeks, we have seen mass violent attacks. Right now, they are targeting Alawites, which is another religious minority group, sort of a Shia Muslim offshoot group. But there are Christians being caught in the crossfire in those battles as well.
We're hearing conflicting reports. Open Doors put out a release about a week ago saying only 4 Christians were killed among over 1,000 minorities. What are you seeing?
I sat down with our Syria leadership and said, okay, what's going on? There have been Christians that have been killed in that violence, but so far, we don't know of a situation where a Christian was killed specifically because they were a Christian. So you have these attacks targeting Alawites, but there are Christians who live in that part of Syria. There are Christians in those villages. And so when people are going door to door and start killing people, you can be caught in that.
Why do you do what you do? Especially for a country like Syria, where less than 2% of the population is a minority, and in that 2% is the Christian minority. Why does this matter?
I have sat down with these brothers and sisters, and I have drank cups of tea and cups of coffee, and I have heard their stories, and at times I have wept with them, at times I have laughed with them, and so it is very personal to me that their stories need to be told, and they need to be told well. They need to be told with excellence. They need to be told in a way that inspires other Christians to follow in their footsteps. And so I think of pastors I've met who are in prison right now, and my heart breaks for them. My heart breaks for their kids and their wives. And at the same time, I feel that urgency and that burden to tell their stories, until hopefully someday they will be able to tell them themselves. Until then, I want to stand in the gap and tell their stories for them.
Voice of the Martyrs Vice President Todd Nettleton. Check out their website. There are tools to pray, ways to get Bibles, be part of the work on the battlefield. You can find it at persecution.com. We got another 7 minutes of Voice of the Martyrs, Todd Nettleton, online. You can find it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org under podcasts and Faith Under Fire. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing with stocks lower today. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 11 points to 41,953. The S&P 500 went down by 12 points to 56,62. And the NASDAQ lost 59 points to 17,691. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
We usually share financial wisdom from best-selling authors and experts who give us direction and hope. Today, something a little different. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. Today's message comes from a listener I'll call Mary, and it's a warning. She writes, "My husband is 68 and I'm 71. We have very little savings. We draw Social Security, which is not enough. Our house isn't paid for. My husband will have to work until he drops. I can't work because of health problems. I wish we'd planned better. Please tell younger people to prepare now and not end up like us in their old age." Well, consider it done, Mary. And we hope you can find comfort in Philippians 4:19. "And my God will supply every need of yours according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus." Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, the teenager that went back to the shelter he used to live in. We'll tell you his story of overcoming poverty after weather with Kevin Williams.
The cold front has passed, the thaw is through, and winter chill is coming back. This chill, by the way, though not particularly extreme or notable, will have staying power, will carry us through the rest of the month. The call for tonight, cloudy skies, a couple of scattered leftover showers and sprinkles, Then a few snowflakes late tonight. Could even be a little dusting in spots late tonight as the temperature dips into the 20s and low 30s. Much chillier day ahead tomorrow. Some early cloud cover and a few flakes east of I-81, but it'll turn out to be a fairly sunny day, but high temperatures only in the 40s. On Saturday, rather cloudy, a bit of rain, a few wet flakes over the higher elevations of the western Twin Tiers. High temperatures on Saturday in the 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at 5, a Connecticut teenager is providing a shining example of overcoming tough times, then turning around and helping those stuck after him. Keontre Floyd was praised by the city of New Haven for a toy donation to a local shelter years after he spent time in the same shelter as a child. He tells WVIT.
I'm going to thank God for keeping me on the right track and keeping my eyes on the prize.
This is his father.
I made a prayer a long time ago that if I had one more chance in life, I could correct my wrongs. This is it right here. This is him.
Keontre, out of the shelter, now a high school graduate. He works for Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation, but never forgot what it felt like to have nothing and give when you have a little extra in your hands. And that's the world that we live in for Thursday, the 20th of March. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.